It's the Seth Williams Show with Mike Musachio. And here's your host, Seth Williams and Mike Musachio.
Hello. Another Wednesday night. Welcome to it.
Yeah. I'm good. I thought of something during the intro.
Yes.
Monday's show, we wrapped a little bit early because you had to cover and help out Chris, who was under the weather. And you went off and you talked to a couple of bands. And so how'd that go?
It went well. We got to talk to Kip Winger. He's been around for quite some time, and he is quite the good-looking man, if I will say so myself. He was fascinating to look at when he was a lot younger, and now he's like 60, and he's a good-looking dude, but does some great music, and actually is a lot more prolific than you probably think. I mean, he's known obviously for Winger and a lot of rock, hair metal kind of stuff, if you want to call it that, but also a classical musician as well, and is in the process of writing a violin concerto.
Oh my God.
And shared with us how he does that, saying he's a little bit stuck. He had a keyboard there to show us what was going on. It was actually a very interesting interview. He actually stayed on for over an hour with myself and Eric Ferentinos. We had Eric on our show before.
Right.
He is the guitar player for Stephen Pearcy.
Right.
And it was fun. It was entertaining. I didn't get too much hate for doing it from the Chris Aiken Presents audience.
Cool.
So that was good.
Good.
And then we got to talk to Frank Hannon from Tesla. I'm a huge Tesla fan. So is my wife. Our song is actually one of their songs. And so it's kind of cool talking to him. And then they got in, Eric and Frank Hannon got into like a deep discussion on guitars and the different sounds that everything makes. And so it's really cool to hear some of the behind the scenes of, guitar playing and that kind of thing. Wow. And they're all going on this cruise. It's called the Monsters of Rock Cruise.
Oh, wow.
Now it's a little bit pricey to get on this thing, but it sounds like one hell of a time.
I bet.
All these different bands playing, and the rock stars kind of hang out with you, and it sounds very, very cool. I could never afford to do it, but it seems something if you've got a couple extra bucks, that's something to check out. The Monsters of Rock Cruise with those guys. But yeah, it was good. Thank you. If you want to check it out, just find the CMS Network online, the CMS Network app. Chris Aiken Presents. Just Google that. You can find it, but I'm sure he's got it posted everywhere. So check that out if you get a chance, because it was fun. I apologize for leaving the show a little bit early, but I needed to eat and I needed to get a little prepared.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I think our show is better than it was a little bit short because we didn't run out of stuff to talk about.
Nope.
Kip was Grammy nominated for his classical compositions. Yeah. He's got a musical mind, man, and that's cool because you don't see that with a lot of these guys that call themselves rock stars. A lot of guys think they could just pick up a guitar, scream a little bit, and that's their music, and they have a hit single and they survive forever. But no, this guy actually knows music.
Well,
cool.
The old adage about rock and roll being 3 chords and that kind of stuff. But when you rarely do you have somebody say, yeah, well, I put my guitar down and I'm writing a violin concerto as we speak.
Yeah, and actually Eric Ferentino said, it's a 6-chord thing that, every guitar player, whatever knows, musician, whatever. And Kip Winger actually corrected him. So it's like 12.
Oh, man. Hey, let me ask you this. Have you ever gone live and sat and listened to the Cleveland Orchestra?
Yeah, and then I fell asleep, I believe. I like orchestra music, but it does put me in a mood to relax and.
Well, I will tell you, I'll share a secret. When I was driving, when I was a road comic, and you would get in the car and drive from Boston to Salt Lake City, and then the next week you drive from Salt Lake City to Sarasota, Florida, and all that kind of stuff. Every bit of FM and AM radio is too short. There's commercial after commercial after commercial after commercial. You put on classical music or PBS or any of that kind of stuff, and a classical music piece will last like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
From start to finish. And the first time I tried that, it was like, oh my God, that was a lot more enjoyable. No commercials, nobody talking at you, nobody selling you. And I developed an appreciation for, and like I said, because you've been to the orchestra, there's some pretty cool stuff out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dennis Lewin, a good friend of the Triv Show and the band Boku from back in the day. He worked or works, I don't know, for the classical music station, the radio station here in town, WCLV.
CLV, yeah.
And I've listened a few times to that kind of stuff, and it's enjoyable. I mean, I like that kind of thing, but I'm more of a rock guy. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I have to tell you, when Michael Shesky and I were we're co-hosting Talk Back Cleveland, which was on Sunday mornings on WCLV, maybe 15 years ago. It was weird to go into that studio because I've been in plenty of FM and classic rock and all that kind of studios when I was, interview comics, but to walk in there and see all these long titles of songs and all these albums and the orchestra list and the awards. Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Is the studio setup different? I mean, how do they? I mean, is it
no? You would be right at home in the studio because there's a soundboard. Is a soundboard. Everything works the way it's supposed to work. I'm talking about the trophy cases and the stuff on the wall, and the autographs and the photographs of people. You see Pavarotti and those kind of things instead of just like your typical rock guy.
I got yelled at by one of the members of my wife's family because I think the orchestra just hired somebody like a diversity expert or something like that, and I laughed and I said, well, what the hell do you need a diversity expert for when it comes to the orchestra? How about just picking the best player of the instruments? I don't care what the hell color they are, race or religion or whatever it is. You pick the best player. You don't pick somebody who's an average player to be in the Cleveland Orchestra just because of their race or whatever it is. You pick the best one that can play a freaking French horn.
Right. And not only you want your first chair to be your first chair, not your third chair, because we haven't had, a mongoloid
whatever
for a year.
But I don't know. But
I don't know.
I enjoy the orchestra and stuff like that. But I guess I'd rather be on the Monsters of Rock cruise, hanging out and having a good time.
Yeah.
So tonight we have Tony Musachio coming up in just a few minutes. He's going to be live from Alley Cat down in the Flats. We could talk about the Flats a little bit before Tony gets on because he most likely won't be able to hear me.
Yeah,
but he's always in a great place. But like he can't hear what I'm saying because he's always busy. But I used to work in the Flats. But that's the reason I have this background. See the cat, Alley Cat.
I get that now.
And also Joe Kleon is coming on at 6:00. Incredible photographer, radio guy, and he's got an event that he's doing, a fundraiser for Crazy Kitten Inc. So see, I got a cat theme going throughout the show today.
Got it.
The Flats, Alley Cat. The Flats used to be like the greatest place on earth. Next to Brook Park Road with all the strip clubs.
Yeah.
The Flats was the place to be.
I
worked at Hooters down there.
Okay.
And it was amazing. All the bars, it was just one strip. You knew the Flats, right?
Yeah. I didn't live here from 73 to 95, but I used to play Hilarities twice a year. And, Hilarities back in the day was on West 3rd, where the RTA building is now. So it was a short hop, skip, and jump to the flats after the show.
Flats started to die after like 97, I'd say.
I would say so too, but didn't the downfall of the flats coincide with people just like not being able to behave themselves? Weren't there like carjackings and all kinds?
It was rough down there, man. It was really rough. I remember when I was working down there, I mean, there were a lot of drugs down there, just a ton of drugs down there.
Yeah.
But then one day, like I was walking out to my car with this girl who worked at Hooters with me, and we were walking across the parking lot. It had to be like 3:00 in the morning. And some guy started chasing us. And of course, she was a little bit tipsy at the time and started making remarks to the guy, calling him names. So then he really started chasing us. We had to run to the car. And I get to my car. My windows were all busted out. There were beer cans in the front seats. There were needles sticking out of like the seats. They had they were doing some kind of drugs inside the car. And so they just poked the needles down in the seats. They were just sticking up, and this guy's chasing us. So we had to like literally jump into the car, even with all this crap there, and take off. And I went to the police station like 3:30 in the morning, trying to explain what happened. And obviously, it's the flats. What do you want?
There you go.
It got really bad. It got really bad down there.
And then, between people not being able to behave themselves and everybody chasing the last buck, I heard that, you could get as long as you had cash, you could get a drink no matter how old you were and all that stuff. It set itself up for failure.
That's when I worked down there, I was still 20. I wasn't 21 yet.
Yeah.
And I could walk into any bar down there I wanted and get served. There wasn't anybody stopping you from. As long as you had some money on you, you were going to be able to drink and have a good time. But at the same time, there wasn't anything like that. I mean, it was just one bar, restaurant, good place, fun time after another.
Yeah.
Whether it was the basement with all kind of club music or River's Edge, which was just kind of a fun bar to hang out at, Flanagan's.
Yeah. My brother was the executive chef at the Watermark.
Well, I love the Watermark.
That was a great place. I really enjoyed that place.
And then they had good concert clubs down there. There was so much fun to be had down there. But yeah, you're right. The bad element ruined everything.
Yeah.
My dad texted, and dads are last to know. Yep, sorry.
That's where I lost.
You don't ask, you don't know, right?
That's right. Don't ask, don't tell.
Some would say it all just fell flat.
Boom. Thanks. I'll be here all week. See you on the Lido deck.
But I did have a good time working down there. Met a lot of cool people.
The deal.
A lot of fun.
The other thing that used to happen down there in the flats was they were all dance clubs.
Not all of them.
Even do that anymore?
Yeah, they do that.
Where's a dance club? Where's it? Everybody's listening. People text in. There's no problem, and message in on the Charlie's the hotline. But where's a good dance club in this city?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good dance.
I'm telling you. You had the urge to just cut a rug.
You can go see good bands somewhere. You can go see Billy Morris and play, or Disco Inferno plays out a lot, and people are dancing at those kind of things. But I don't know if there's like a good solid just dance nightclub anymore. But again, I'm not really in that scene. So.
No, I'm not either. But
I can't. You and I are the last people that are actually, especially now with my missing leg. I'm the last person going out looking for a place to dance. Or what they call dancing now.
Right. Well, that was going to be my next question.
We got a call. Call.thesethwilliamsshow.com. Call.thesethwilliamsshow.com. Chris.
Hey, there's great dancing. There's great dancing every single week at the Silver Horse.
Okay.
Where's that?
Or the Crazy Horse, or any of those fine establishments.
Yeah. You're right. There is good dancing at those.
There's lots of great dancing.
All right, that's the kind of dancing I'm into now because again, I can't do it myself. Might as well watch somebody else.
Watch somebody else do it.
And you certainly don't mind watching them, most of them,
No.
unless it's a Monday or a Tuesday.
Yeah, it depends on what time you go. You go for that lunch special, you're screwed.
Especially on a Monday. Oh my God.
And you know what? I could never figure out why parents don't realize when they name their daughters Starshine or Teardrop, they're gonna end up strippers.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll tell you, there's a club down in Lima, and I know that's a little far from here, but it's just the most ridiculous club. It's called the Landing Strip, and the most ridiculous thing ever is the week of graduation down there at the Landing Strip. They put out they have one of those big billboard signs, and they put out now hiring sign for the week of graduation. Try to get the girls 18. Right out of school.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I remember the first club I went to was actually one of the Horses down on St. Clair. I was 18 years old. I got in, and the first lap dance I ever got was by a girl named Raven, and I'm sure that was her real name.
Right.
And Jay Giles' Centerfold was the song that was playing. And it was a hell of a night.
How funny
I have
is it
strip club stories, but I'm not going to get into those tonight.
How funny is it that we all remember our first strip club? My first strip club was right down there in the flats. I was working for my dad's company. He worked for Brown Derby, but he was a traffic manager. He booked the trucks and stuff to deliver food. And they had bought at one time one of those old warehouses that's down there.
Yeah.
And it was just filled with junk. So this was during summer vacation. They sent me and this guy, Leon, that worked there to clean out this building. And that's all we were doing was, we were upstairs throwing couches and air conditioners, whatever, out the windows into dumpsters, just cleaning out this building. So at lunchtime, the guy Leon says to me, "Hey, let's go to lunch." And I was like, "Okay, we'll go get some lunch." Where does he take me at 15 years old? To the strip club that was like right down the street. And they let me in and they served me booze. And and I got drunk at 15 watching strippers.
There you go.
And I was like, wow. Now I look at it now at 54 and I'm like, all right, I know the exact moment it all went wrong. Right there.
I remember one more quick story that we're going to get into Tony Musachio, but I was down at Diamond Men's Club in the flats.
Okay.
It was on the West Bank, so but it wasn't on near the flats. It was more away from the river.
Sure.
But Jay Moore was the comedian.
Mm-hmm.
We were all in the back of a radio station van smoking weed. And then I got out. I went inside. There was nobody at the strip club except for us and some girls. And I got up on the pole and I did a striptease on the pole for the girls. I decided I was going to turn it around for them, and they actually paid me to put my clothes back on. So,
nice.
But it was a good time. It was fun down there. But thanks, Chris.
Yep.
We're gonna get to Tony. Thanks, brother.
All right. See you guys.
The Landing Strip, huh? I wrote that down.
Yes, I will. That's good. Tony Musachio. Hey, my friend. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
We are good.
So the first strip joint I went to, I'm 22 years old, and how ironic and appropriate this is, I was with Little John. He takes me the Horse downtown because he had his jewelry store on East 9th. So we walk in. It was like probably 5, 6 o'clock. There was a cover charge. Of course, he never paid the cover charge. This big girl picks him up and puts him on her head. And we're walking around the strip joint.
Wow.
That is awesome.
That was fun. Guys, I am here live at Alley Cat in the flats where I am right now. You'll remember this when we were in our 20s and 30s. This was DePue's, it was Fagan's, and then you had the Watermark, which is now the Collision Bend. As you can see, there's the Nautica Queen, which is going to be replaced. Actually, this spring, it's going to be a new boat. And, of course, Shooters right across. So I am like 29 years old, and I had, when this was 6, 7 deep of boats on the dock, I had a 75,000 twin-engine Sundancer right in Lake Erie. It was wonderful.
Wow.
And you know how I got it, Seth?
Huh.
From you smoking that weed.
You were a dealer?
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I was a little bit, just a little. Guys, real quick, here's the bar. They've got a great bourbon selection. Of course, they have taps. So their sister restaurant is Collision Bend, which I just mentioned, which is right down the street on Old River Road.
Uh-huh.
This is where the brewery happens right here. We were going to go there probably within a month and talk about Collision also.
That's a great place. That is a
great
place.
fine beers, yeah. And again, it's all locally grown right here, which is kind of cool. So as we all know, obviously we have some great breweries in Cleveland. And I just found this out. There's about 176 to almost 200 in Ohio, which is really cool. No different than these wineries that are popping up, in Geneva and Madison.
Right.
So there's a lot happening here, which again we will touch upon as soon as it gets warmer.
Okay.
So
I got a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
I heard that they still make POC.
You know what? That is a great
POC
question.
beer.
I remember it. Maybe we can find that out because
Okay.
Schlitz was made here. Stroh's was
Uh-huh.
made here. Yeah, those were the cans of beers that you stole from your dad's.
Yep.
Bottom-
Carling Black
bottom-
Label.
Yes, and Rolling Rock. I remember I went
Oh,
to Kent
yeah.
State. I had 15 Rolling Rocks, and I never drank beer after that again. Although I have a sip every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the best, right?
Yep.
So, again, this is a really cool place. It's right here in the flats on the river. Upstairs, they also have upstairs patio, which we just got off of. They have a party center, which you can actually have up to 65 people. They have weddings, company parties, bar mitzvahs, you name it. It's really cool. So
Cool.
I got to show you something. So while you're at Alley Cat, you could pick up a nice t-shirt. We like it raw. And I shuck that.
That's awesome. Love that.
This is a little pokey right here, which is kind of like sushi in a bowl. And I'm going to show you what we got on the table, guys. This is really cool. And of course, there's an open kitchen, which this used to be owned by Zach Rule. Obviously, what happened to these two, he had 9 of them at one time across the city. And Zach's only down to 1, which is Labatro, which we will go visit, which is at Case Western Reserve area, which used to be called That Place on Bellflower. So again, now it's 2 locations, one here, which is Alley Cat, and then of course Collision Bend. So, you know who actually owns this is Cantee's Seafood. So they are very well known for their seafood: oysters, halibut, crab legs, lobster roll, which I will show you in a moment here. So, guys, isn't this
Place is
beautiful?
gorgeous. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Isn't it? It's
Yeah,
really
that's-
is cool.
That's a nice setting to sit and eat seafood.
Yes. So again, and all of these garage doors go open, so it's a great, cool. You have a nice wind coming through, and if you have all the boats here and the seagulls, and welcome to Cleveland. You look out here, it's like being on vacation when you come to dinner. So,
Yeah, man, it's a beautiful view from there. Yeah.
And of course, I've got my cocktail, which is called Cat's Pajamas. Apropos, huh?
Cute.
Tequila, blueberry, basil. You can either get it with vodka or you can get it with tequila. So, bottoms up, guys.
Man, that
Next
place looks
week.
amazing. I got to try some
All right.
seafood. I haven't had seafood in so long.
I didn't know you
Other than
liked
fish
seafood.
sticks. I love seafood, but I've had fish sticks from Gordon's. That's about all I eat.
Oh, dude.
Seth, we got to advance your horizon,
A little bit.
as they say.
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
get you a blackened grouper sandwich.
Yes. Yeah, correct. Or even, how about salmon?
Yeah.
Black and salmon is delicious. Yeah. We got to figure that out for yourself. So next week, it's going to be Easter, the 8th of April. We're going to be at BA Sweeties. 40.
Oh my God, I was just there last week for everybody's Easter basket. Oh my God. I dare anybody to go to BA Sweeties and not spend $60.
You got that right.
Because everything you thought you forgot is still there.
And I'll tell you what's cool about that place too is that they have sugar-free stuff for people like me.
Oh wow, that is really cool. I didn't know
it's
that.
really
That's
good
nice.
too. I mean, it's tasty stuff. So,
you know what else they have? You know what else they have there? They have a working scale model of Euclid Beach Park.
Wow, that is cool.
And you push the little buttons one at a time, and the fireworks go off, and the neon lights up, and the rides work. It's amazing there.
And they have the old Humphrey popcorn balls. They have the Charlie chips that we used to have delivered to our house many years ago. Isn't that cool?
And a little ice cream shop too. Yeah, that place is really cool.
So we'll have fun there. So Tom invited me. Actually, I'll be there this Saturday, and you can tune in every Saturday morning on Flashpoint, 1490 WERE. Between 10 o'clock and 11, I will be at Sweetie's. I'm sorry, I'll be at Sweetie's April 1st. This Saturday, I will be at Good Old Days, which is in Parma. The bar's been there for about 35 years. Old school bar. Really cool. We're going to stop at that place also. So, guys, you can go to alleycat.com for all the information. Their summer hours are now going to be from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and they have a brunch 11:30 until 5 on Sundays. It's really a great brunch downtown in Flats. So, yeah, again, you got to check this place out. And when you're here, I recommend to eat on the patio, try the oysters. So, guys,
we all got to start going to lunch together, man. We do. We got to start going to lunch or dinner or something and check some of these places out because that looks amazing. I would love to go to that place. So.
And I'll make sure that they pick up the bill. I mean, I pick up the bill. Hey, guys, who said the quote, "When in doubt, tell the truth"? Was it Mark Twain? Was it Ben Franklin? Or was it the nurse at the free clinic? Guys, Tony Musachio recording live. Tony
Keep it up, Tony.
I love you guys.
Keep it up. Or like a lot of people say after they've eaten with you, fork you.
That's right. Hey guys, I am here live at Alley Cat in the Flats.
Great.
For Seth Williams and the Mike Chiselka Show. I will see you guys soon. Thanks again.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tony.
Hey, wait, real quick. Let's give away a $20 gift. Give away a $20 gift certificate.
All right, we can do that.
You tell them how you can do it.
All you got to do is email me, SethWilliams32@yahoo.com. SethWilliams32@yahoo.com, and I will pick a winner. Just give me your name, your address, and all that kind of information. I'll put my email on the screen, and I'll pick somebody that emails me, SethWilliams32@yahoo.com.
And again, if you're not fond of seafood, they have a great hanger steak. So, Mike, you wanted to find something for Lent. This is really the place. And again, all year-round seafood. So, guys, thanks again. I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Good seeing you, buddy.
You too.
Thanks, Jones. Bye. Alley Cat. Alley Cat looks like a lot of fun, man. Looks like a good place.
Yeah.
I think I spelled my stuff right. So there you go. Seth Williams, 32@yahoo.com. If you want a $20 gift card to Alley Cat, email the show.
I'm doing it now.
Yeah. I should be doing it. You have a job.
There.
So there you go. Email, and I will pick a winner, and somebody will get a $20 gift card. He's done that the past few weeks, and people have enjoyed their stuff. So that's awesome.
We're going to open some people's eyes on a regular basis with that segment, and I'm going to tell you why. I don't know if I've said this out loud on the show before, but when I first read it, it just really threw me for a loop. They said most people, by the time they're 25 years old, only eat less than 10 different things for dinner.
I don't doubt that. I'm one of those people.
Yeah, I don't doubt that either, but it's like there is so much. I will tell you this. Are you the kind of person, Seth, if you walk into a restaurant and you see something on the menu that you've never had before, will you order it?
No.
Oh, that's me.
I already have an idea of what I want when I go in. When I
Gotcha.
go into a restaurant, I'm sitting there going, all right, I'm looking for a specific kind of food, and that's what I get. And that's sad. I should probably be more open-minded.
Well, that's what I had in mind. That's the exact mental picture I had when I wrote the commercial for Trivs in Strongsville. Some restaurants you go to because that's why you go. You like their ribs, you like their chicken, you like their pasta. But Trivs is one of those restaurants where you open up the menu and you see the food go by to other tables, and it's like, oh, I want to try that. I want one of those too.
No doubt.
Some restaurants are just like that. The food's so good, you want to eat your way through the whole menu.
Speaking of, let's take a break, and then we'll come back and talk. We got some things to talk about. TikTok may be banned, and people are chiming in on a strip club thing. We'll read some of those comments. And then Joe Kleon at 6 o'clock. Joe Kleon, photographer, radio guy, will join us at 6. I think he's got a lot of interesting stories, and he's got a great fundraiser.
Nice.
He's doing as well for some animals, which I'm a big fan of. So hang on, and we'll be right back.
What separates Trivs Restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Trivs, where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious, and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Trivs has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Trivs in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Trivs in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's flag serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. Winter is here, so call Charlie's Auto Repair for snow plowing needs. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.
A shout out to some of those guys, all of our sponsors, of course. But Joe Burdick, Burdick Custom Flags, thoughts are with you, my friend. He's got some things going on. And then, but check out his flags, man. The flags are absolutely amazing. I posted some of them, the firefighter one and the police ones, on my personal Facebook page, the Seth Williams Facebook page. Check them out. They're pretty cool.
Cool.
So get those. And then shout out to Charlie's Auto Repair in Lakewood. Charlie is a good dude, of course, sponsors the hotline for the show, and he's a good friend, good dude, and he's doing some work with my car to try to make things good for me when I'm able to drive. So appreciate Charlie and everything that guy does.
That's
Charlie
great.
Auto Repair in Lakewood. Good dude. Let's see here. And I got some of these strip club stuff. This guy, Chris, I'm sure a lot of back in the day guys got a lot of stories to tell about the old time flat times. Yes, there was. I mean, it was amazing down there. It really was. My wife actually went to River's Edge back then in the flats. It was right by Hooters and stuff. But I didn't know her because she was actually, shockingly enough, like 5 years older than me. I shouldn't say that because I'm young. But she met a Browns player or something like that there and didn't go out with him. Her standards were, I guess, too high. And I say to her all the time, how about that decision, honey? A Browns player, and then you end up with me. doing this podcast. I love her to death. That's why she's the best. Let's see what else.
And you haven't had 31 losing seasons in a row. So
Does it really matter if you're an NFL player? It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Strip clubs are getting high class now. A business that buys small strip joints and turns them into big businesses. Used to be a big fan of strip clubs until I realized that the girls really don't want to sleep with me. That was like a rude awakening. That what do you mean? But I forked over all this money. What do you mean you don't want? You don't really like me?
But there's a lot to be said there, though, for the family-run business, for the mama papa place, for the just the team giving it a go as opposed to the corporate stuff.
Right.
I didn't say anything when the last segment, but it seems a little more apropos now. In Texas, they had places that were like Universal Studios, Disneyland, Magic Mountain compared to the local stuff that's still on Brook Park Road. Okay. For example, there was a place, I can't think of the name of it now, but it's been 40 years, 50 years, that looked like from the outside, it looked like an old mansion. And when you walk through the door, you could wander around the entire old house. Wow. And every room had a different theme. You could go to a library, you could go to a school room, you could go to a jail cell, you could go to a doctor's office, you could go to a construction site. Yeah, I mean, whatever you were into, it was there. And I don't know what it was, but man, the women in Dallas, it's like it made you believe in Stepford Wives. It's like they all came from the same factory. First strip club I ever went to was Mons Venus in Tampa, Florida. If you've ever been down Kennedy in Tampa, oh my God, you lost a lot of money, but you had a good time.
Yeah, I remember the Crazy Horse and Flats, 70s, great time. Way different back then, for sure. Yeah, no doubt. All right. I went to Vegas. I don't even know if I should tell this story because my dad is listening, but who cares?
Seth, your dad's been to Vegas too, so you both can look.
That's true, yes, but he was there when I got married.
He didn't tell you.
He was there last time when I got married to my current wife, but I was there before with somebody else.
Okay,
and she kind of liked a little different kind of stuff, but we went to this one place. It was like a swingers bar, if you will.
Yeah,
and it kind of reminded me of what you were talking about, but it was like a big place. And every room had a different theme to it.
Right.
And one was like you said, one was like a school kind of room. They had desks set up and stuff like that. Then there was another room that had a doctor's office, but it looked like, I hate to say this, it looked like a doctor's office where women go when they're
gynecologist
office.
There you go.
Yeah.
Stirrups. And
yeah. And then
tongue depressor.
It had all kind of weird different rooms, man. Now, we didn't partake in that. We kind of just had a beer at the bar out in the front where they had pool tables and stuff like that. But it was quite an experience. Vegas is quite an experience. But that was something else. There's nothing like that around here that I know of.
No. No.
I go to Belgrade's in Barberton. They are known for their chicken. Then going there. Kid, eat their chicken, never considered anything else. It is the best.
Well, like Jim Morrison said,
that's not a strip club, right? No, Natalie cannot be talking about a strip club. Belgrade's not. They're talking about chicken.
I don't know.
No. There's no way that Colin DeSalt reworked the song center field to left center field. It's a tribute to John Adams, and we played it the home opener. Yes, I did see that.
Oh wow.
In fact, somebody just sent me that. I will hopefully have that for next Monday. For next Monday's show, I will have that song because somebody did send it to me, and we will get that on as quickly as possible.
Hey, when is the opening day?
The 7th, I believe.
Wow, right around the corner.
Well, that's the home opener. I think.
Right, so It's like the
they play
second
the
or
Mariners.
third one.
Yeah, I think they play the Mariners like starting next week, I believe.
Man.
I'll
Week
look
after
it
next.
up, but what's that? Week after
Week
next?
after next. Yeah, this is the 22nd, so we still got 9 days in
Yeah, no, I think. Hang on, I could have swore. Spring training. Guardians Mariners, Thursday, March 30th. So a week from tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow. And then they're on the West Coast. They play the Athletics, and then April 7th they're home against the Mariners.
Okay.
410, which I did see was sold out.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Which means it will be 8,000 for game 2.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with this town. We talk about it all the time, and I hate to bring it up, but it's great that we're selling out the home opener. That's fantastic. But seriously, this team is a contender year after year, and yet we don't go.
Right.
And I'm guilty of it too. Maybe it's just because it costs too much to go to a game. And I don't. I'm not saying the Guardians have done a great job of making things somewhat affordable for people to go. I get it. You can buy certain tickets, whether they're standing room only or wherever. You can buy good seats. There's not a bad seat in that house.
No.
But it's not spend a ton of money. But when you're taking a family of 4 with you, and then you got to eat, and then you got to park, and it's an expensive.
Yeah.
Night. I mean, you think that's the only reason? I mean, why do you think people don't go to these games?
I think that's a big part of it. I think instant replay. I think free TV in every single bar. If you go back 25 years ago, those bars with 50 different screens and you could watch every game, they didn't exist. And if you were blacked out at home, you were blacked out at home. And the other thing is too, I was going to ask you this. A couple nights ago, Mary Jo and I were sitting here and decided, because the Rangers game, the preseason game was on. I said, you want to watch some baseball? And she said, yeah. It was weird watching that thing with the pitch clock down in the bottom of the screen.
It definitely is different.
It's different.
I haven't caught a spring training game yet. Have they changed the bases? Do the bases look different?
Bases are bigger. Yeah.
Do they look different? Like noticeably?
Yeah, they look like pizza boxes.
Huh. I mean, I honestly, I wish I watched some of the World Baseball Classic, but I didn't get a chance to actually watch any of the spring training games yet.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Peter is going to be checking in with us probably next week also to tell us how things are going with him and his quest to see every Guardians game. But he's always making jokes, man.
I know.
He's tagging me in posts all the time where he's talking about, I could only get standing room only. Isn't that funny, Seth? You're making fun of me for having a prosthetic leg.
Right.
And I'm glad he's got a good sense of humor, but Peter, man, what are you doing to me? But yeah, he's a good kid. So we'll check in with him hopefully next week.
Cool.
As well. Possibly they shouldn't have changed the name. I've gone to a game since. Yeah, there's a lot of people that say that. I honestly, when I was reading articles about people not going to the games last year, that seems to be the general consensus, is that people are pissed that they changed the name.
Well, let's put it this way. The Colts moved away from Baltimore and the Ravens sell out. So other cities have gotten over it. It's not like we can't too. Most of the guys on the team are younger than 25. It's the youngest team in the league. They don't have that history to play for. All they're doing is going out and busting their ass to be a good Cleveland team. So we owe it to them to just watch the game.
I agree with you. And, we've talked to Curtis Danberg on this show. And
I hate the name change too. Don't get me wrong. I think I agree with you on all the other stuff. It pisses me off that the Seminoles still come out before a football game and throw a spear into the middle of the field, that Atlanta stands up there and does the tomahawk chop. Washington's does everything back asswards because if they wanted to be the Redskins, they could have just put a potato on the side of their helmet and still been the Redskins. But you know, I miss the Indians too.
Still there. The Chiefs are still doing their thing. So
yeah, the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I'm telling you what, man, and I've said it on.
Are there other teams that buckle to the wokeness that is today?
Well, it's not just that. It's
a little bit that. Come on, Mike.
It is a little bit that.
But it is a little bit
I
that.
agree with you. It is a little bit that. But why just Cleveland? That's
my question. Why? Look, and I love the Dolans. I mean, I really do. People are going to do shit for that, but I do like them. And they do a lot for charity. I've met them. And they're very nice people. And I've actually worked charities with them. Well, but they get a lot of crap, and maybe they should for changing the name.
Yeah, why did
because
MLB?
There isn't another team that I can think of offhand that, you know.
I don't know why they blackballed us with the pressure game.
And that's all it is. That's buckling to the pressure.
Yeah. Listen, I have said it before. The fact that 89, 92, 98% of us have to walk around on eggshells so that 1.5% of the people don't have to feel, uncomfortable is ridiculous.
Bad take, Mike. We have more commitment to Cleveland and refuse to cave to social culture. We care more than Baltimore.
Yeah, but you know what? If we're in the World Series and we're leading by 8 runs at the in the bottom of the 9th inning, and then it's an away game, everybody is still going to sit there and shake like a leaf, knowing that because we're Cleveland, there's a chance we're going to give up 9 runs and lose the World Series. And if we win the World Series, there'll still be 2 million people in the streets.
Now, that might be the case, but I still think that there's going to be a fraction of people out there, however small you want to consider it, that will say, I'm not going to this parade, and I could care less if these guys win 8 championships. Kind of the way that I was with LeBron when he won the championship. To me, that championship meant nothing. And to 2 million other people who were crowding the streets for that parade, God bless them. They enjoyed it. They wanted to consider the end of the drought. To me, the drought still continues here because that championship meant nothing. And when you see those players get up on that stage afterwards and every other word was an F-bomb, and I know it was because I had to sit in a radio station and listen to it.
Right.
It was an embarrassment to the city, I thought. Walking around with their shirts off and swearing all over the place. It wasn't the way that I thought a team that won a championship, broke a drought here in Cleveland, should have acted. And the fact that LeBron, the ass that he is the one that did it here, didn't mean anything for me. Now, you, being a Cavs fan who loves the sport and loves the team, you were probably excited for it.
Well, here's my difference is this. I don't like the fact that we pick and choose, because we just talked last week about the fact that McDonald's is going to all robots and all automated and all God only knows, with not a single human being to make sure that what you're getting is, and they won't let you pay for cash, and on and on and on. And nobody is going to boycott McDonald's. I was at Walmart and had to check myself out. And I asked the lady that comes over, because if you buy like 3 apples, it blows the system out of the water, and somebody's got to come over and individually weigh the apples. But when she came over, I said, what's next? Am I going to have to come in and go out and get my own stuff off the truck? So that's what I'm saying. People go, oh, we can't change this, we can't change that. Well, if you got morals and you got principles and you're going to boycott the Indians, then stay the hell away from McDonald's.
Yeah, but at the same time,
do it across the board.
But
it's
McDonald's isn't buckling to woke culture. McDonald's is buckling to, this is the way that they're going to make more money.
I'm telling you something. We got
by doing stuff like that. And when you have
people being a little bit woke, we got much
kids
bigger fish to fry than that.
When you're looking at a corporation like McDonald's that sees kids that don't want to work and they aren't going to pay the $15, $16 an hour wages, I guess they are buckling to woke culture a little bit, because they don't want to pay $15, $16, $17 an hour.
That's not what it is. They don't care about anybody. They don't care about senior citizens. They don't care about retired people. They don't.
Why would you? They don't want to pay $15, $16 an hour for kids to flip hamburgers. That it's probably a better thing to put machinery in there. So in a way, they are buckling to the woke culture that thinks that kids, instead of having a first-time job, flipping burgers and making fries. These kids now think that they're entitled and it should be a living wage to enter the workforce. That's not the way it has been. That's not the way that it should be. And so McDonald's is pressure, or I guess buckling to the woke culture a little bit because they don't want to do that. So they're putting in machinery. I think personally that the Guardians shouldn't have changed their name. I'm still going to support the team. I know there's a lot of people out there that won't, but that's not me. I'm going to support the hell out of this team because I like Terry Francona. I like these players. I don't think that they walk around with egos like some of the other teams do. They seem like just guys out there working hard and care about the sport and care about the city. So I'm going to root for this team.
And here's what we can do. And I've said this over and over and over and over again. Take Chief Wahoo. Make it look the same way it did in 1954. That color, get rid of the red and all that other stuff that everybody's got, and put that Guardian crown on Chief Wahoo's head, lose the feather, keep the big smile, and force Major League Baseball to realize that our team, our logo is still our logo. We could do that in a heartbeat and sell a lot of shirts too, by the way.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but Disney has changed rides and entertainment due to PCBS. That is accurate as well.
True.
I mean, I don't like a lot of things that Disney stands for. In fact, I really don't like a lot of things that Disney stands for, but I grew up a Disney fan.
Yeah.
And it's like on my bucket list to get back there before I die. And to me, if I'm riding on some of my favorite rides, I'm not going to look at or care about the PC crap that they do. Or
I'd rather go to Cedar Point than Disneyland.
Yeah, see, I'm not that way. I'm a big.
I like those rides. You know what I miss? I miss the rides that used to come around every summer, where your life depended on whether or not the cotter pin stayed in the little hole.
See, my wife and I were talking about this yesterday, actually. Somewhere along the line, my brain stopped working or growing. Like I think it stopped somewhere around like between 12 and 15 years old. Because I still love Disney. I still love all that. I still have all those vivid memories of going there. And I just want to live like that for like the rest of my life. So, I think my brain just stopped working somewhere along the way. But so sometimes I can look past this woke crap, and maybe sometimes I just choose to because I'm so tired of it.
We all do.
I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing, the stuff that I love go to crap because people want to do things differently. And like we've talked about before, the minority getting their way all the time. And I don't mean minority in race. I mean minority as the small group of people that decide that everybody should think like them. It's sad, and I choose to not live in my childhood, but remember my childhood for what it was: a prospering country, a fun country. The music was good. I could trust the news people I thought they were on TV. I could enjoy things in life, and now it seems like I'm not allowed to enjoy things anymore. I'm not allowed to be proud of who I am. I'm not allowed to think differently than somebody else. I'm not allowed. It's a bizarre world that we live in now. And to me, it's kind of scary. And so I choose maybe my brain just chooses to live in times that I think are better. I don't know.
Well,
I'm sure that maybe your childhood was better than mine was.
There's way more going on in all of that mix because we haven't even figured into account the fact that, everything, the future's being designed for everybody and nobody gets a seat at the table till it's too late. But they're being a little more conscious of what some people have had to go through to get the same seat at the table that you and I had. It doesn't bother me to, move my chair over a little bit and make room.
Look, I didn't grow up.
That's not what's wrong with the country.
But it is what's wrong with the country. It's a lot of what's wrong with the country. I mean, I didn't grow up with drag queens reading me stories when I was in kindergarten or first grade. I didn't grow up with, all of a sudden when you're 8, 9 years old, you were able to decide what sex you want to be. You don't even know what sex is. And now they want kids to have the right to do it on their own. I didn't grow up in a society where parents treated their kids like wusses, and that's not the way that I grew up, and that's not the kind of country that I want anymore. I mean, I watched a show today. Guys were being interviewed. They have a 12-month course on how to treat the male generation of today on how to be men, because they're entering the service and they don't know how to be men.
Yeah.
And that's sad. It's
okay,
disgusting.
but that's not society's fault,
It
man.
is
That's
society's fault.
No bullshit. It's every single parent.
Well, that's part of society.
What's going on.
It absolutely is.
Parents became weak. You're damn right. And it has nothing to do with liberal or conservative. It has to do with the fact that people have just gone belly up.
It absolutely does. It really does, Mike. It does. It has to do with this liberal society thinking that you have to accept everybody and everything is just okay. It's not. It's not okay. It's not okay to treat men like little girls. It's not.
Seth, I don't disagree. But everybody thinks that it's the outside affecting them. It's the other way around.
Target should not be removing blue and pink colors because it describes a male or a female.
Okay.
There are differences between men and women.
Liberals didn't invade Target and change
that.
That
is society now, though. That's what society is teaching.
No, society does what corporations want it to do.
People change these things because they're afraid of being sued if they don't. I don't know, maybe, but I think it's bigger than that. I think it's just
they don't lose
like a generational bunch of crap that kids are being taught. I think it's awful. I think it's really, really bad. And I think we're heading in a bad direction. Follow the money. You say it all the time, Mike. I don't know who's making these decisions.
I agree. Follow the money. And I've also said this before, and everybody doesn't pay attention either. This may not be the end of the world, but it sure as hell is dress rehearsal.
It absolutely is. All right. We have Joe Kleon coming on in about 2 minutes, so hang on. Hey, it's Seth from Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road in the Pleasant Valley Shopping Center right next to Big Lots. You got to check out Mario, man. Great guy, does a lot for charities, but can perform miracles with hair. He even made me look clean cut. Does my hair, does a great job. Love talking to the guy while I'm sitting there. It's a great place to go, local business. You gotta go to Mario's Barbershop in Parma. Mario's Barbershop in Parma, 7526 Broadview Road. Again, in Parma, Pleasant Valley Shopping Center, right next to Big Lots. Or give him a call, 216-520-1977. That's 216-520-1977, Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, and data migration, and much more. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows install or you're interested in the latest computers for gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880.
This is Tim Elkhorn, radio voice of the Cleveland Cavaliers for attorney Will Spiegelberg. Will Spiegelberg is not only a name you know, he's someone you can trust as your attorney no matter the circumstance. Will Spiegelberg is an attorney you can always count on. Will Spiegelberg is the attorney you should contact for all your legal work. When you need an attorney, call Will Spiegelberg at 216-233-4240. Attorney Will Spiegelberg, a great teammate. 216-233-4240.
Right back here, the Seth Williams Show with Mike Tasaka. Real quick, a couple of things before we get to Joe Kleon. We've got $20 gift certificate to Alley Cat in the Flats if you want to go. Seth Williams 32 at yahoo.com. Just email me your information, name, address, that kind of thing. I will pick a winner. Seth Williams 32 at yahoo.com. $20 gift card to Alley Cat. Email me and we will pick a winner. No winner as of yet, so email now. Also, we have a fairly big announcement coming up at 6:30 tonight.
Yep.
Or whenever we are done talking with Joe. It's pretty cool, pretty good stuff.
Looking forward to it.
A special announcement later on in the show. Even if it is libs, the Republicans aren't doing enough to raise their kids correctly. I agree. Kids are screwed these days. All right, so let's go to our guest, Mr. Joe Kleon.
Hello, how you doing?
Good.
Extraordinaire. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Excellent.
Yes, we can. All right. You're a big-time photographer, long-time radio guy. I want to get into all that good stuff, but one of the main reason you're on, you have a great event coming up.
Yes.
And I'd love to get into it. I'm an animal guy, so let's talk about that. What do you got going on?
I've been volunteering as a photographer for a place called Kitten Crazy in Medina for 9 years, and I've done 5. This will be my 5th fundraiser that I've done for them. I put a bunch of my concert photos online on Kitten Crazy's eBay site, and all the proceeds go to them. They're a 501c3. 930 Lafayette Road in Medina. The website is kittencrazy.org. That's 2 Ks, kitten and crazy with a K.org. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We have an open house coming up on Sunday where you could go down there. They'll show you behind the scenes what goes on with the cats, how they vet them, how they vaccinate them and take care of them. And my friends Jim and E-Rock from Wish You Were Here, the classic rock duo, they'll be there performing live. All kinds of prizes. I'll be there selling photos. And the auctions for the actual fundraiser go live day after tomorrow on Friday, the 24th. There'll be about 100 auctions, and they'll be live for 10 days.
That is fantastic, man. I'm a big animal guy. I got a couple of cats myself. And so I think that is super, super cool. And we actually had a chance to have Wish You Were Here on. So E-Rock was actually on the show. So I think that's cool. What time is it again? And where can people look at the photos?
Noon to 3 on Sunday will be the open house where Jim and E-Rock are playing. The auctions go live on Friday, day after tomorrow, and in the morning on Friday, and they'll be live for 10 days.
What kind of stuff you got on there?
For the photos?
Yeah.
Oh, I always put up my very best photos. Eddie Van Halen and Kiss and Elton John and Paul McCartney. A lot of Michael Stanley, because I know there's a lot of Michael Stanley fans, and I worked with Michael for 20 years as his concert photographer. So just really the biggest Ringo Starr and a lot of metal stuff, Rush, Scorpions, UFO, a lot of hard rock and metal. Really what I think are the best photos that people would be the most interested in.
That's cool. I've seen some of your stuff, and it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Somebody texted in Kitten Crazy, great place.
It really is a great place. I mean, the cats are all free roaming. There's no cages. They have a bunch of big rooms, and there's just free roaming cats. You go in, sit on the couch, and the cat that wants to pick you will come over, and it will pick you.
How'd you get involved in this?
I'm a big cat guy, so I wanted to use my photography skills to help out a cat shelter. And you go on Pet Finder, where most people go to look for pets when they're adopting. Yeah. And you see all these cell phone photos, and they're okay, but they're never really have any attention to detail or the backgrounds. They're just kind of cell phone photos of the cats. And I wanted to kick it up a notch. So I sent out some emails to volunteer at some places, and Kitten Crazy replied. The owner, Wendy Murato, who is a dear friend of mine now, she was friends with E-Rock. So it kind of worked out perfectly. And I went down there, started taking photos. At first, I would take like blankets with pictures of cats or paw prints and tack them up on the wall and use those as the backgrounds. And then about 5 years ago, I actually built with a friend of mine a photo studio. I think it's the world's first photo studio just for cats.
Wow.
And it's on one of those carts that you see in restaurants that like the busboys put dishes on. Yeah. And we built this little house that sits down into the cart. So it's right about it at eye level. It's easy to take the cats in and out. It has its own indoor lighting. It has removable backdrops. And it's the first photo studio for cats. And we have a bunch of really cool backdrops. And when you go on Pet Finder and you go through a bunch of cell phone photos, and then you come to the ones, with the backdrops, and they're on the moon and they're in Chichen Itza in Mexico, they're really eye-catching.
That's hilarious.
I'll tell you what, man, I have 2 cats. One is Pepper. I've had her for quite some time. She's a little bit older cat now, but she's cool. She kind of lays in the back, does her own thing. When she wants to be pet, she'll come up to you. And she's cool. I got this other one at a shelter, and she's a great little cat, Mackenzie, but she's scared of literally everything. If you sneeze, she takes off for half a mile. and she, it took us a year to get her out from like underneath the bed because she just didn't want to come out. She's just terrified of literally everything. She loves ice cream, and that's the only time that she'll come near you. If you have a bowl of ice cream, she'll come up, sit with you, lick the hell out of the bowl, and then she'll leave again for the rest of the night. So, I mean, cats have such personality. People don't seem to understand it. They think that cats suck sometimes, but cats are literally the best. They really are.
They really have dynamic personality. Is that one of them behind you in your on your background there?
Not mine. No, there's just one that I saw today online. That mine would never sit still for a picture.
Cats really have dynamic personalities. I mean, you can teach a dog to jump through a hoop just by repetition and giving them treats. But cats are like cognitive thinkers, They you can just see their wheels spinning, and they're really smart. They're really smart animals.
Yeah, they definitely have their own kind of personality. It's cool. So I'm glad you're doing that. Well, I might have to take the wife and family up there on Sunday to check that out. You said noon to 3?
Yeah, and it's only about 5 minutes from downtown Medina, so it's not that far. And you can get the address once again at kittencrazy.org. That's 2 Ks, Kitten and Crazy. Also their Facebook page. And again, the address is 930 Lafayette Road in Medina.
People are texting in. I love cats. Mine, Miss Polly says hi.
Great.
I have 3 beautiful pictures you took of Michael Stanley. And then Chris is checking in. Joe, don't be selling prints of the water shot you sold me. That's mine. Which I have to say, he sent me, and it's awesome, man. I'm telling you, that is an awesome picture.
Thanks for Chris for setting this up, but Chris didn't buy exclusivity to that photo. So,
you know what? I do want to reinforce something you said, Joe, not too long ago, and it's so true. If you've ever rescued, and I used to rescue schnauzers, and at times of my life I've had up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 of them over the years, and so on and so forth. But if you open your heart and go to a place, because that's where you want to get a pet. If you really want to have something love you unconditionally, and you open your house, go to a rescue, go to a place like Kitten Crazy, and you are absolutely right. They find you.
Absolutely.
You will drive there thinking, I'm going to go get myself a cat or a dog, and they pick you. And once you get home and realize that, the bond's there, and it's one of the coolest feelings in the world.
And it's really bizarre because I've seen cats at Kitten Crazy that maybe their owner passes away and the cat's 7, 8 years old, and they're in this new environment now at the shelter, and they're terrified. And they hide for weeks and weeks, but then somebody will come in and they'll come right up to them and they'll jump on their lap. And for some reason, they just bond with that person. And it's really cool to see.
I agree.
Yeah, I've been an animal guy for all my life, but the first cat that I had, I got her again at a shelter in Berea, I believe. And I volunteered there for a little while also. And she was like the sweetest cat ever. And then I got a dog. And so they got along kind of cool because my dog would kind of walk by and the cat would just walk up and hit him in the face, slap him around a little bit, and then take off. But they ended up becoming like really good friends. And then I lost the cat in my divorce, and it sucked, and I missed that cat forever. So I had to replace the cat. Now I have 2. So yeah, cats are just are very cool. So I'm very happy that you're doing that. So
and the one thing great about Kitten Crazy is those cats I mentioned that are terrified, they're in a new place and they're scared. They go out of their way to socialize those cats. And they'll be terrified one week when I go in to do photos. I'll come back a couple weeks later, and they're just so much more socialized. And they really go out of their way to the cats who are struggling to really help them adapt. And they have kids that come in. I think there's a Girl Scout troop that comes in, and all they do is play with and socialize the cats. It's as soon as you walk in the door of that place, you just realize that the vibe is so incredible. It's just different than any other shelter.
Well, what's sad though is that the cats are there for that many weeks to get socialized. There are too many of them in these shelters, and it's really sad because no matter what shelter you go to, we've gone out to the one that's in Elyria, we've gone to one in the one down downtown close to area, and there's just cat after cat after cat. These cats need homes, man. They really do. So.
Yep.
And Kitten Crazy adopts out 650 or more a year. So they really are working hard to, take these homeless cats or these cats that come in off the street and find them forever homes.
That's great.
Let's see here. I've had a couple of cats were strays. One was pregnant, which I did not know. Had 5 babies, found them all homes. So that's cool.
Very cool.
There was one cat that my mom had, though. My mom had this one cat that she adopted, and this cat was a dick. but like he only loved her. Like if anybody else went near this cat, his name was Leon of all things. But if you went near even me, and I saw my mom every single day, if I went near my mom or that cat wanted to rip my face off, but would sit on her lap and purr all day long. So it's just something. Cats just have those kind of personalities.
Yeah,
they really have distinct personalities, and they're no two are even close to being alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Amazing.
So we'll talk about that again in just a little bit, but I wanted to have you on for so many reasons, not just the fact that you're doing this great fundraiser, but you're a radio guy as well as an incredible photographer.
Thank you.
And so I want to talk about your time in radio, where you started, and where you think this business is today, because I'll tell you how I feel.
You don't want to know how I feel.
Yeah, I do want to know. So
yeah, we do.
How'd you get into radio? How did you start off with that?
I started actually at John Carroll University at WUJC, as it was called back then. Now it's WJCU. But I was being suspended from high school about 2 weeks before my senior year ended. And I grew up in Cuyahoga Falls, so I was at Cuyahoga Falls High School, and I was getting suspended. I was waiting to go in the principal's office, and above the bench where I was sitting was a sign-up sheet for career day at John Carroll. And I didn't even know what John Carroll was, but it was a day off school, so I signed up for it, rode the bus up there. And I've been interested in radio before. I had a couple experiences when I was a young kid. At WCUE, which was an AM station in Cuyahoga Falls that played rock, that Matt Patrick worked at one of his first jobs, maybe his first job.
He was awesome.
And he let me sit in the studio with him and showed me how everything worked when I was like 12 years old. And that got me interested in radio. So I was roaming around John Carroll during this career day thing when I was a senior in high school and walked past the radio station. And I walked in, and there was E-Rock, who I've been best friends with ever since. And this was around 1986. And John Carroll's kind of a preppy place, a Jesuit university. I think he had a Zeppelin shirt on. I had a Rush shirt on. We both had long hair. And, 10 minutes later, we were back at his dorm smoking a bong. And he said, if you go to school here, I'll get you your own radio show. So that's the only reason I went to school there. I started on the air right when I signed up for classes. And got a job in the mailroom at Warner Brothers Electro Atlantic Records when they still had a Cleveland office. And one of the guys for ACO Records liked my radio show and got me a job at WONE in Akron. And that's how I started actually on commercial radio. And I did that for about 20 years.
That's awesome. Actually, real quick, I loved Matt Patrick. I don't know what you think of Matt Patrick, but Matt Patrick I thought he ended up becoming a friend of mine. And it's a shame that he passed away, but I thought he was extraordinarily talented. Actually could have been one of the best talk show guys of all time. But
I owe him everything. I mean, I used to go down to what they called the TGIF parties in downtown Cuyahoga Falls, which turned into Rockin' on the River.
Yeah.
And I was 12. My mom would pick me up from school and take me down there on Fridays, pick me up like 3 or 4 hours later. I would watch the bands, and I started cleaning up afterwards and helping the radio guys clean up. So one day the radio guys took me to the station and took me into the record room and gave me a bunch of albums. And Matt Patrick was there, let me sit in on the studio with him. I mean, I was this annoying 12-year-old that he's working, and he still was cool enough to take me in and showed me how to talk up to the post and showed me how the equipment worked, and was just a really, really super guy to me. And that put that radio buzz in my ear, and that led to, a 20-year career doing radio.
I actually hosted a couple of Rockin' on the River stuff when MMS took over them. They weren't as huge as they were, but it was fun. Good times with the Rockin' on the River stuff. In fact, I think you grew up in Cuyahoga Falls. You grew up, I think, right down the street from my wife, and like her brother, I think, has been over to your house. I think he was friends with your brother, Jim Armstrong.
Sounds familiar, but I'm not.
You would know, but so they grew up together, and so Cuyahoga Falls is nice area. We were just down there the other day.
My mom and my brother still live there.
Like we're at like 13th Street around there,
right, real close to the Five Corners, right by Chapel Hill. There, about a mile away from there.
All right, yeah, love that area, but that's cool. I mean, radio has certainly changed since you were in it and I was in it. It's a different animal now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to jump on that animal right now. I do some radio shows for an indie network as part of my day job, but I don't know if I'd want to do commercial radio again, especially for some place like iHeart or, Cumulus or anybody like that.
Yeah. I spent 23 years in commercial radio, And, towards the end, they promised me I had a job after Mike Trevisano passed away. And then all of a sudden said I didn't. And I mean, it was a weird experience watching radio from when I started to where it ended up going. And was that the same kind of thing for you?
Yeah, pretty much. I moved to Savannah for 5 years to be closer to my daughter and did a morning show down there. And I moved back to take the job at NCX, which is where I met Michael Stanley.
Yeah.
And worked at Rock 107 doing 7 to midnight for quite a few years. And I just saw the medium deteriorate once they changed the telecommunications law of 1934 when Clinton changed it.
Yeah.
You used to be able to only own 2 stations in any market. And
Right.
once that was changed, now you can own 50% of the stations in any market. And that's when Cumulus and CBS and Cheap Channel, that's when they bought 90% of the stations. And that's when the talent was devalued. And now you're voice tracking in 5 cities for an extra $2,000 a year. And I was lucky that I got out of it when I did. I kind of saw the decline happening and kind of fell into photography by accident. And it was the perfect time to make that transition.
What year did you get out of radio?
About probably my last job was promotion director for a station in Canton, a top 40 station called Q92, and I got out of there about 11 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
It was a bit after the decline, but still, yeah.
But you're right. I mean, when those big companies took over, it really was. You just saw such a change. I mean, when I started, we got away with. You said the F word. You said fuck on the radio, and you got a talking to. And then all of a sudden these companies took over and you swore you made a mistake and you were out the door.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't as fun as it used to be. We're talking about guys that when they took apart the old board at MMS, underneath it was leftover Coke from when guys were partying in there. And you could see liquor stains from stuff that fell down in between the pots. And it was just, you knew it was a party. It was a good time. And it just became not so much fun.
And
after a while,
it was universal because I don't have the radio background to match either one of your resumes, but I spent 25 years on the road as a comic, which meant that every time I pulled into a city and was appearing that week at the club, one of the days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning, the show had giveaway tickets and they wanted to interview the comic and stuff like that. And every single studio you walked in, you could count on leftover pizza, posters on the wall, and roaches in the ashtray.
And a vomit stain on the carpet.
And right. And then one morning I walked in for my interview and everybody in the building had a suit and tie on, and it was never the same.
Yeah. And you went from being able to add your own songs in the playlist to a regimented playlist of 200 songs, and you played the same shit every single day.
Yep.
Yeah, I was actually at one point in charge of I wasn't any kind of title of music director, but they had me go over and just hit the button on the computer that would load all the songs in. And it just became not fun. I mean, I went from pulling 8 tracks and carts and albums and cutting tape and putting CDs in to just pushing a button to load songs into a program. Yeah, it was such a different kind of feel.
And it was always cool to see the reel machine with the razor blade to splice tape.
Yeah.
It always had Coke residue on it,
Yep.
You remember Spaceman Scott?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was in charge of actually one night he decided he was going to record his show and he recorded it on reel to reel. And I had to actually sit there with a razor blade and a little tape and cut this stuff up to make it sound good. And there was an art to doing radio.
Oh, yeah.
There really was. There was an art to doing it. And now it's lost all of that.
There was an art to splicing tape and doing it correctly and seamlessly, and now you just have a waveform and you can do it 50 times till you get it right. And back then, you cut the tape and you taped it together with little pieces of Scotch tape, and it was a chore to get it seamless where it was good transitions.
Yeah, it used to be fun. But anyways, so then you went from there. How'd you get into the photography aspect?
I bought a camera I couldn't afford to take on a trip to Mexico. I was going to Chichen Itza and Tulum and wanted good pictures of the Mayan ruins. Nice. And I came back from there and I just put the camera on auto and just was pointing and shooting, but I got really great pictures because it was a really good camera. And I came back and was wondering how I'm going to pay this camera off, put it on a credit card, hadn't made one payment yet. And I was a big fan of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
Yep.
And I was listening, and they said they were going to do a show on the Mayans in a couple days. So I emailed them a couple of my pictures. They used one on the front page of the website, put a link to my website where I had my own pictures of the Mayan ruins. And that night I sold about $400 worth of pictures.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, holy shit, I could actually make money with this thing. And I was working on the crew with Wish You Were Here, and I was working with Michael Stanley at NCX. So I started shooting both of those artists and started selling some photos. Then I started using some people that I knew in record labels and from radio when smaller bands would come to town, like Collective Soul, or metal bands like Anvil would play the Grog Shop or something. I'd get a photo pass. And every time I shot one of those shows, it was easier to get the next one. And then I started shooting for some publications. And once I started that, then it was really easy. And I had no idea it would explode into 20 years later. Now I've got about 1,500 shows under my belt.
Wow.
That's unbelievable, man, how that just happens. See, that's what I got to start doing. I got to start just picking some stuff up and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Throw the darts against the wall. Something will stick, man.
Yeah.
And it was a big grind for a while because I was working my day job and then doing these shows. And the last 6 or 7 years, I do about 100, 150 a year. I do 6 or 7 or 8 in a row sometimes in the summer, working the day job, doing a show at Blossom, coming home, working on the photos till 2 a.m, over and over and over. It was a big grind, and it was exhausting, but I loved it. It was a lot of fun. Certainly beats working in a factory.
Joe, I've been at my share of concerts, and I have watched photographers work really, really hard to get their assignment done for no matter where they're from, and setting up a shot, looking for a shot, working to get a shot, and so on and so forth. That all goes into it. But I want to ask, is there a photo that you don't even have that to yourself, when you printed it, was amazed that it made it on the reel? Is there one that accidentally you were just happened to push that button and caught some magic?
I can never tell when I shoot a show, like on the way home, if the photos are going to be any good or not. There's times where I think I'm in the zone, I'm dialed in, it's effortlessly done, and then I come home and the photos are, just kind of mediocre. And there's other times I really struggle and I come home going, God, these are going to suck. And they're really good, and I'm really happy with them. It's really hard for me to gauge in the moment what I'm doing. But there's some of my best photos, I didn't even realize I took them at the time. It's not like I pushed the button and went, that's going to be a great photo.
Right.
I sit at home, and my cat Getty was always on my lap. I called him my co-producer. He would sit with me when I was doing photos till 3 a.m. He wouldn't go up to bed until I was done with my photos. And I would go through them, and there would be the one photo from the show that was the iconic photo that would pop up on the screen. And I didn't even remember that moment because I was just so dialed into doing what I was doing. Even like my favorite band, Rush, who I've seen 50 times, and I've loved them since I was in, 3rd grade. I photographed them, and I was on the way home, and I was thinking, what were the first 3 songs that they played while I was shooting? And I had no idea because I was so in the zone that I didn't even pay attention to what they were, what they were doing. I was just totally into just trying to get the best exposures I could get.
Wow.
And the band, I love Rush. I interviewed Geddy Lee one time, and I thought it was one of the most amazing things ever. And then I insulted him, and I felt bad about it, but it was good radio.
Why did you insult him?
Because, okay, look, man, I'll be honest. I was a young punk kid who just got his job in radio. And so I didn't realize the magnitude of working at a station like MMS. And when I got to talk to Geddy Lee, of all people, again, I was 21 years old, 22. And so I said, man, it's amazing to talk to you. But has anybody ever told you sound like a girl sometimes when you sing? And he got a little pissed. And I felt bad. But yeah, it was so cool to be able to talk to guys like that. And I learned my lesson from that interview. Don't be a dick to some of these stars. But he actually finished the interview, and it was cool. So I've heard that people steal a lot of your stuff, though. Like,
yeah, they do.
When they do stuff online, do you sue the hell out of these people? What do you do?
Because I shoot so many high value celebrities, and they're published in magazines, people do steal them a lot. It's really difficult to go after people, but I try, and I've had some decent settlements, but it's really difficult. It's really difficult. A pretty interesting story about how I got into really people stealing my stuff, I was checking my web stats for my website probably 8 or 9 years ago. And when I first started shooting, I mostly had radio stuff on my website because I was a radio guy. And so I started putting some photos up, and I took a picture of my first camera, and I called it gear.jpg, and it was just this camera with like 2 lenses. And I put it up on my website. It was only up there for like a month, and then I took it down. Like 2 years later, I'm checking my web stats, and I see this photo, gear.jpg, has 3,000 views or hits in a month. And where did those come from? And it took me a while, but I found out that this Christian baby photographer outside of Seattle was hot linking my photo on her website. Do you know what hot linking is?
No.
But you can, there's 2 ways you can put a photo on your website. You can download it and put it on your own server, and then it appears on your website. Or you could write code into the HTML code of the web page, and you can say, go to joekleon.com, find this photo, gear.jpg, and embed it on the website. If she would have just downloaded it and put it on her own server, I would have never known. But since she was sucking it from my server, then I could see that. So I went into Google and I typed in diseased penis, and I found the most horrific photo I could ever find, and I labeled it gear.jpg, and I uploaded it to my server. So now every time someone went to her website, that photo was coming up.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So now
hilarious.
So now she thinks I hacked into her website because she doesn't understand, and she's going to call the FBI. I'm like, okay, go ahead.
Go right ahead.
Here's my address. Tell you my phone number. Tell them to call me. And a week later, now she's begging me, please take that down. I'm losing business. And I sent her 2 emails first, professional emails. I said, hey, you're stealing my bandwidth. Just take the photo down. And being the Christian woman that she was, she sent me this snarky email back. What are you going to do? Sue me in Seattle over a stupid camera photo? Ha, ha, ha. And she wouldn't take it down. I sent her a second email, and I said, you're really not going to like what I'm going to do. And I already knew what I was going to do. And she still didn't take it down. So now she's begging me to take it down, and I wouldn't. I'm like, sorry. And then she says, well, I had someone design the website for me. I don't even know how to take it down. And I said, well, if you would have told me that in the beginning, it's going to take me a couple weeks, I would have been fine with it. Right. But since you were a bitch, I'm not taking it down. And it took her about 2 weeks. It took her about 2 weeks to take it down.
To get rid of it.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what. We used to get shit all the time because it's so easy to just go to websites and just take a photo. But you got to realize people took that stuff. You know, people, that's their livelihood.
Well, major publications do it, like newspapers, and you would think like a newspaper or a major company would know better after how many years has the internet been around? 25? That you would know better than, or you would have ways to vet photos. There's an amplifier manufacturer that used a bunch of my photos on their endorsement page, and one of the photos they used was Guar. You know the band Guar.
Yep.
And so, my lawyer contacts them, and I get a phone call from the co-owner of the company. His name is actually in the company name. Oh, it was an intern that put that up. We didn't even know. And I said, well, who oversees the interns?
All right.
Your name is part of the company name. Doesn't the buck stop with you? And people just they don't vet when they put photos up. They just take them or just let somebody else do it, and they don't even think of the consequences. But it is somebody's livelihood. And if somebody from that company would have called me and said, hey, you want a guitar amp or a $300 practice amp or something for using this photo, I would have said, hell yeah. I'm not difficult, but when you steal my shit, then I do become difficult.
Then we got a problem. All right, some of the who are some of the more, do you have any difficult artists to work with?
Billy Joel was the worst.
Really?
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Well, it had nothing to do with him personally, just his people. Everything's really regimented. I mean, we sit in the security or the area wherever, and they lead us to the stage, the promoter. They tell us where to stand. They tell us how long we can shoot. When we're done, they take us to the door. If you don't have a ticket to the show, they escort you out. It's really regimented. There's no time to venture off on your own or anything. They watch you while you're shooting. So they told us where to stand, and the show starts. And within like 20 seconds, this guy is right in my face screaming, get the F out of here. And he's like, my glasses are getting like showered with spittle because this guy is screaming and he's so close to my face. And I I didn't know who he was. I didn't know if he was with the band or he was just a crowd member. That I was, because they put us kind of in front of some people in the crowd in the front. And so I had 2 cameras around my neck. I didn't think, I grabbed my credential, my photo pass, to hold it up for him to see it. And when I held it up, he shoved me. And, you can tell me to leave anytime and I'll leave, but don't put your hands on me.
Right.
And I really wanted to punch the guy, but somebody stopped me. And they as he threw everybody out. And someone told me later, and I don't know this for sure, but somebody told me that it was Billy Joel's tour manager. And there was 4 or 5 photographers. They threw us all over on the very side of the stage where you couldn't even get any shots. And when I came home, I looked at the timestamp between the first and the last photo, and it was 40 seconds. So we shot for 40 seconds. And,
oh, my God.
And Sony Music stole a Billy Joel photo and put it up on BillyJoel.com.
I was going to ask, I mean, do these stars pay? Do these artists pay you, or I mean, how does that work, or how do you get into these shows to take them? Or, well, I mean,
I can shoot for a publication. I can shoot for an artist, their publicist, or the record label, or the artist themselves. It just depends on who hires me. So it kind of varies from show to show, but mostly I've done most of my shooting for Scene Magazine in Cleveland. I wrote for them when I was in my early 20s, when I was doing college radio. I'd interview Fates Warning or Metallica or bands like that, and then I would write articles using the interviews for Scene. So I've been with Scene for a long time, and I really love the place. I have a great association with them, and my photography career would never have exploded the way it did if it wasn't for them giving me access to all of the big shows that they did.
Yeah, I was at a Dennis DeYoung show. Dennis DeYoung.
Yeah.
Sticks. And I was like front row seats. And man, there was like a couple different photographers. It was at the MGM, and it just right in front of me while I'm trying to watch a show. I mean, but it was cool because they were actually very nice to me when I was like, hey man, can you move over a little bit? But that's got to be a hell of a job. And it sounds like such fun to do something like that.
I always try and be conscientious of if I'm in the pit or there's no pit and I'm in front of the crowd. I never try and stay in the same place for very long because I don't want to be in the way of people. If you're in the front row and there's no pit, you paid a couple $100 for a ticket. You don't want to look at my ass sitting there in front of you. So I always try and be conscientious of that. But a lot of people don't. A lot of other photographers don't. And a lot of people in the crowd sometimes will get pissed, naturally, rightfully so, because if the promoter tells me to stand here and not move, that's where I'm going to stand. And I can't help it if somebody behind me gets pissed. I'll apologize to them.
It's your job.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do. And there's been a few times where people have really, really been pissed, and the promoter tries to diffuse the situation and says they're only there for 3 songs. But if I paid $500 for a front row ticket, I wouldn't want to lose 3 songs with some fat guy like me standing in front of them,
Joe, we've had musicians on that have talked about how the business changed touring and changed recording and changed all of that. You and Seth spent a segment of this interview talking about how radio has changed. I want to know, have cell phones changed the photography business? Because I remember walking out on stages or being in places like Vegas where before the lights went out, the announcement came over saying no photography and no recording. Mm-hmm. And now they don't even bother with that announcement because it's impossible.
Yeah, there's some artists in smaller venues that do so, like the Akron Civic Theater and stuff. But yeah, it is impossible. And I've even seen people at Blossom in the pit for bands like Dave Matthews that are shooting with cell phones. And I don't know how you can get a decent picture of a concert with the cell phone, but it's kind of devalued the industry a little bit because these artists can find thousands of photos from fans with their cell phones. So why would they want to pay me when they can just get them from there? So it's kind of the same way that radio got devalued when the consolidation happened. It's kind of the same thing.
I met another person. I don't know if you know her, Janet McCosker.
I'm really good friends with Janet McCosker. I love her. She is probably the best Cleveland photographer that's ever lived.
She did a calendar once, and she did she helped out with one of our Codes for Kids charities that we did with the Triv Show, and she was spectacular. And I mean, it just seems like she really does have a good thing going too, and it seems like a very cool job. And are there a lot of guys like out there like you guys?
There's a decent amount. Janet's awesome. She was kind of a mentor when I first started. She's become a really good friend of mine. She's a big fan of my work. She's referred me to gigs that she couldn't take when people offer her gigs. She'll call me and ask me if I can do it.
Nice.
Like Jimmy Page, wrote his memoirs. Her picture of Jimmy Page is on the back cover. That's how iconic and well known of a photographer that she is. And back then, when someone like her or my art gallery partner, another great Cleveland photographer, Anastasia Pantios, who's a really, really dear friend of mine, when you would shoot Led Zeppelin or shoot those bands back in the 70s, you shot the whole show. If it was a 3-hour show, you shot the whole show.
Yeah.
Now it's 3 songs. Sometimes it's 2 songs. Sometimes it's 1 song. Like for Garth Brooks, they wanted the first 60 seconds of the first 2 songs. Like some douche is going to stand there with a stopwatch, and after 60 seconds, you have to put your camera down until the next song. I stayed home. That's just, it's getting more and more ridiculous.
I heard Marilyn Manson was a pain in the ass.
He always messes with photographers and will try to spit on them, and will grab a red Solo cup with water and like walk across the stage, and then all of a sudden he'll try and throw it and hit your camera gear. And he's just an asshole. I mean, if you don't want photographers, don't allow them into your show. So I was at a Marilyn Manson show in Youngstown, and I was talking to this photographer, and he actually spit on her at a show. Jeez. Hit her in the face with spit. And so she said the next time she photographed him, she took a water bottle and pissed in it and had it in her camera bag. And when he came over, like by the stage, she grabbed the sides of the water bottle and squeezed it and showered him with her piss.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, though, artists can be asses, man. I remember I went to even in radio. I mean, I'm sure I went to a Megadeth show, and I was supposed to bring them on stage. And I didn't know.
Stories are everywhere.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I didn't know I was going to bring them on. It was like a last minute thing. They called me and said, "Seth, come on down to the Odeon. You're going to bring on Megadeth." I was like, "All right, sweet." And so I get down to the thing, and the Odeon, so they have like an upstairs green room area. Mm-hmm. And I'm walking up the stairs, and his publicist is in front of me, and she goes, "Button your jacket up." I was like, "What the hell am I buttoning my jacket for?" And I look down, and I'm wearing a Metallica shirt. And she goes, "If Dave sees that shirt, he's going to toss you out of the building." And I was like, "Dude, I understand the history, but seriously, it's just a T-shirt." And she's like, "No, button the jacket up or take the shirt off. I don't care what you do. Just do not go up another stair until you take that thing off." Artists can be dicks, and it's unfortunate because we all have jobs to do, and they're just like that.
Megadeth did a CD release party for Countdown to Extinction at the Natural History Museum in Cleveland in the dinosaur room. Yeah. And it was for media people. They had all kinds of beer in these big ice tubs and stuff. Dave was sitting at a table so you could come up and get his autograph and stuff, and you were not allowed to enter the line with a beer because Dave would throw you out if you walked up to him drinking a beer.
Man, some of these guys are very, very touchy. How can people get a hold of your pictures? Do you have them for sale? What's the deal?
JoeKleon.com, where you can find me on Facebook. Email is joekleon@yahoo.com. And if you have an artist request, you can message me and ask me if I've shot them. And if I have, I'll send you some proofs. And you can also look at the artists that I'm going to have auctioned off starting this Friday for my Kitten Crazy benefit. If you go to kittencrazy.org with 2 Ks, kitten and crazy with an org, like what's on my shirt here. Starting Friday morning, we'll have about 100 auctions up. I also have some shots from Anastasia, my dear friend who donated some photos. Like David Bowie's first U.S. show was in Cleveland, at Music Hall, and she has photos of that show. And she has a lot of iconic photos like Prince's Purple Rain Tour, Aretha Franklin. She was shooting Michael Stanley in the early 70s. So she's donated some of those photos. And if you go to kittencrazy.org Friday morning, there'll be a banner on the front page of the website, which will take you to a page which will have links to all of those auctions. So that's what I would recommend. If you want to contact me, I can sell you some personally, but in the next couple of days, buy them so the proceeds go to Kitten Crazy, because it's a great place, and they really, they love they need the help. Not that they're, going to go bankrupt or anything, but, adopting out 650 cats is expensive when you're getting them spayed and neutered. If a cat gets run over by a car and gets his paw broken, has to be amputated or has to have surgery, they pay for it, but the adoption fee is still the same. So, they always need donations and need if you want to come down Sunday to the open house, bring stuff like bleach or detergent or anything like that, or just make cash donations, which you can also do on their website. It's a very worthy organization. Again, it's a 501c3. You can tax deduct your donations, and it's really, really, if you're a cat person, it's a phenomenal place.
All right, that's this Sunday, noon to 3. Somebody's going to be. Who else is going to be there? E-Rock and
Jim Tig. They do a thing called the Classic Rock Duo. They're also members of Wish You Were Here. Yep. E-Rock, has run the band for almost 30 years, I think. But him and Jim do solo acoustic shows, probably 3, 4, 5 nights a week, all around Cleveland and surrounding areas. And they're very. I think they know 1,000 songs between the two of them. And they're just a really incredible acoustic duo. So they're going to be down there playing. We're going to have raffles and prizes for the kids, 50-50. You can go in the back and they'll show you how the behind the scenes stuff operates in the shelter. It's really going to be a fun open house. It's Sunday, the 26th from noon until 3. And the auctions I'm doing start this Friday, the day after tomorrow, which would be the 24th. And those will go for 10 days.
Mike?
Two things happened to me, Joe, and it led to a question I wanted to ask you towards the end of the interview.
Okay.
One, Seth called me up and said, hey, we get to have Joe Kleon on, and it was like, great, that's going to be a wonderful time. And then a couple days later, the story was in the paper about how the Rock Hall has been given all the money or raised enough money to do their expansion. Mm-hmm. And when I heard both those things at the same time, I have thought to ask you, with what you said about the number of good quality artists, photographers that have documented rock and roll here in Cleveland, have you approached the Rock Hall about maybe having a photography room that highlights Cleveland photographers?
I've tried to get some photos used by them. Usually when the inductions are here in Cleveland, I will send them some photos to try and use in the broadcast production and stuff. But I've yet to be successful. I know Janet McCoska and Anastasia Pantios have had stuff there. But me personally, I've yet to have that happen. But that would be a huge honor for me. And I'm hoping that someday it will happen.
Well, I'm hoping that maybe this show and people listening and stuff like that, maybe we can, because you can't go tooting your own horn. I completely understand that, but there should be a room in that museum saying, this is Cleveland. This is where rock started. It's also where rock photography started.
Well, the thing is too, is that Janet and Anastasia have these pictures from the 70s, iconic pictures of Paul McCartney when he was 40 or when he was 30. And, all those people, I have them in 2005 when they're 65. So the younger photos in their prime for a lot of these iconic artists who are aging are a lot more palatable than my aging photos. But I mean,
they're awesome.
I mean, some of them are like they're not bad, but people would most rather have a photo of Bruce Springsteen in 1975 than they would in 2015.
Yeah, I still think they should document the achievement of Cleveland, and you have been a pillar of that mural or that exhibit too. So
thank you very much. I would be a great honor to have my photos or even one photo somewhere in the Rock Hall. I hope one day that happens, but with the kind of luck I have, it'll probably happen after my death.
Yeah, that's when I'll be popular again too.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, Natalie wants to know where did you say it's at one more time?
Kitten Crazy, 930 Lafayette Road in Medina. About 5 minutes from downtown Medina. You can go to the website, kittencrazy.org. That's 2 Ks, kitten and crazy with a K. And you can get the address there. If you can't attend or don't want a concert photo for the auction, you can go there and donate. And you can also find them in the address on their Facebook page at Kitten Crazy.
I did post your website and Kitten Crazy on the comments here as well. So thank you, Joe, for coming on today. Really appreciate it, man.
I really appreciate you helping me promote the fundraiser. Thank you very much. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Good talking with you. Great stories and really, really, really cool stuff. So thank you, and check out joekleon.com. Got a hell of a history, man, and I thank you for everything.
Great talking to you too. If you ever need me back, man, hit me up. I'd love to come back.
Well, I want to meet you someday and check out some of your work.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know. Absolutely. That'd be great. Thank you again so much.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Joe Kleon, joekleon.com, kittencrazy.org, K, crazy with a K. So it's kittencrazy with a K.org. I'm going to have to go out to that event this coming Sunday. My family's big fans of cats. We can't come home with another one, but we definitely got to check it out and
can support the people that do that work.
Without a doubt. All right, we got a special announcement as far as the show goes. In just a couple of minutes as we wrap things up. Hang on. It's for Smoking Rock and Roll food trucks. You got to check them out, man. The food is just unbelievable. Mac and cheese is fantastic. The brisket, everything else is just to die for. You got to check out Smoking Rock and Roll. 605 Clague Parkway in Bay Village. You can give them a call, 216-539-2239 to book a food truck. Find out where they're going to be at. They're going to be all over the place, especially when the spring and summer hits. It's unbelievable food. They win awards all over the place. Run by my good friend Billy Morris and his friend Todd. They're good people, and they make great food. You got to check it out. Smoking Rock and Roll, SmokingRockandRoll.com.
Aaron Tees and Signs has become your complete one-stop sign shop. Call Jimmy at 216-299-9344. Their friendly and professional staff can and will help you build your company brand and identity from start to finish. One stop means you get a complete package from one location. Custom logo design, vehicle graphics, banners, t-shirts, storefront marquees, and so much more. Aaron Tees and Signs, 4883 Turney Road. Call us at 216-299-9344.
Hey, it's for Audio Bay Studios in Bay Village. And now if you need a podcast done, you got a band, you got to record some stuff, Audio Bay Studios is the place to go. Trained technicians, good management there. I'm telling you, Audio Bay Studios has helped me out tremendously with my podcast. You want to go there, Audio Bay Studios, 605 Clague Parkway in Bay Village. It's right next to, or in the same building, I should say, as Smokin' Rock and Roll. Some of the best barbecue food trucks in town. The best barbecue food trucks in town. I'm telling you, you got to check out Audio Bay Studios. I know the guy, Chris Aiken. I know the guy, Billy Morris. They're good people. They take care of you. Audio Bay Studios. If you got a podcast that you want to start recording, Audio Bay Studios in Bay Village is the place to be. 605 Clague Parkway. Give them a call. 216-713-0066. That's 216-713-0066. Back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Jasoka. Thank you, Joe Kleon, for coming on. He was great, man. A lot of cool stories.
That was great.
JoeKleon.com and kittencrazy.org. Kitten with a K, obviously, and crazy with a K.org.
Good guy, good cause.
Yeah, I got to get out there on Sunday. I want to meet him, talk to him. He was fantastic. And, I just respect the hell out of anybody that's been in the business and the rock business, the radio business for as long as he has. And it's cool. So, going to head out there on Sunday.
And I can't say enough. If you're listening and you have room in your house or in your heart and you want when you get adopted by your rescue animal, it will change your life.
Yes, indeed. All right. Announcement, because we got to wrap things up here soon.
Okay.
We've been talking about this, the CMS Network, Chris Aiken, and, of course, this show going to be a part of something very cool. And we're going to have a new segment on the show. Mike, take it away.
All right. I got a phone call a couple weeks ago from a comic who said we should get together and do something for the people in the city of East Palestine. So what we decided to do is do a series of fundraising shows in and around the area. And then we're going to cap it off by going to East Palestine, and they are going to take their high school gymnasium and fill it full of chairs. And we are going to do a show for all of the people in East Palestine and give them a symbolic check for all the money that's raised over the weeks and months leading up to this show. And we'll have some dates and some information on how people can get involved. But first show is going to be in Columbiana. It'll either be April 10th or 11th, might even be the 18th. We're not sure of that date yet. April 25th, there's going to be a show in Medina at a church. May 2nd in Massillon, there's going to be a show at Crackpots. May 9th in Cuyahoga Falls, there's going to be a show at the Funny Stop. And then again, like I said, May 23rd, we're going to go to East Palestine, everybody that's been there, all the people that have been involved. And we're going to do a show for as many adults as we can pack into that building, just because you know how the news is, life goes on, the news goes on, but those people are still dealing with everything that happened down there. And we're going to raise some money. We found a great charity down there where, just like Coats for Kids, all the money raised is going to go right to the people. And it's funny because they said that the people down there are looking for things that you might not think of right off the bat. They're looking for air filters, and they're looking for stuff to, enhance the soil when they go to replant everything from their crops to their backyard gardens. So I'm really, really happy and proud to have been invited to be part of a lineup. I will share more about all the other comics that are going to be on the bill. And because I respect Jay Bach, Jayboc, who's also on Facebook, I really hats off to him because he came up with the idea. Like Seth said, we're going to introduce a segment to this show on Monday nights that brings a little humor to everything that we talk about in life in general. And I've invited Jay, since this was his idea, to be the first comic on our show. And I also would be remiss if I didn't thank you, Seth, and Chris, who you and I work with, for wanting to become actively involved and lending your name, our reputation, and the CMS network and the 300,000 people they reach every week to do what we can to make life a little easier and the recovery a little faster for all those people down there. So next Monday, Jay will be on. The following week, we'll have other comics from the bill, and we hope to make this work for everybody. So I know.
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, please finish.
I mean, I just really, and I've said this before, I believe in the people of Northeast Ohio. I believe that if there is an America being practiced that we'd like to get back to, it's here in the Midwest. And so I'm proud to be part of this. I'm going to do my best to deliver a kick-ass show and raise some money. And this is going to be a lot of fun as well over the next couple months.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about the charity thing, and I think that's going to be very cool. I think that our audience and Chris's audience will definitely get behind something like this. And then I think also, it's going to be good for the show. After like 6:30 going forward on Monday nights, we're going to have a little comedy time. We'll let the stand-up comedians come on, do some stuff. We'll talk about where they're going to be, and we'll also let them perform a little. Not to like train monkeys. Hey, perform for me. But we're gonna have some fun.
Right.
A little added something to the show, and definitely a charity that I can get behind. I know I was there, with my family. We drove out to East Palestine, took some pictures, talked to some people, saw the site, and like you said, the news cycle continues, but the people there still need our help, and so we're gonna do our small part, if nothing else, to.
And one thing I would be remiss if I didn't say up front and right out loud is the fact that every single comic that is volunteered their time to do that is doing everything we can for all of these shows and not taking a nickel. Every comic is devoting all their time so that money goes to the people.
This is such a wonderful thing that you're doing for the people of Palestine, East Palestine in Ohio. We're just going to clarify that.
So I'm looking forward to it. I want to introduce everybody to some really good comics that I know and have had the pleasure of working with. I want this segment to enhance and make this show even better, because that's been our pledge from day one, to make this show as best we can for everybody that tunes in. And then again, like I said, collectively, if we all get together and do something to help those people down there, that's what we're here for.
We will definitely have more on this to come. It's going to be an evolving process, and it'll be fun. You'll be able to check out a lot of comedy shows leading up to the big nights, and you'll check out a lot of comedy here on this show as well. So, and we're going to help people out. This is going to be a fun time, and so I think this is very good. So thank you, Mike, for getting.
Here's my invitation. I got one last thing. If anybody knows or anybody's listening, we don't have a show. in Cleveland or the Cleveland area yet, if you are listening to this show or you know somebody that's got a bar and on a Monday or a Tuesday night, they wouldn't mind hanging a shingle and having some fun and raising some money and helping out, we can talk. We'll talk more about that with Jay. But like I said, that door is open for anybody else that wants to step up to the plate and get involved. That would be cool.
That's awesome. All right. Our first comedian, Jay Bach, right, on Monday.
Yep.
So that'll be exciting. We'll have some other stuff to talk about with him, and we'll see what else happens on Monday. But also then Wednesday, we're going to be talking with Angelo Petiti.
Nice.
Of course, Petiti Garden Centers all over the place. The guy came here to America with like a wheelbarrow and a shovel, and he's got an empire now. So looking forward to talking to him. Maybe we get some gardening tips, and you guys can call in with your questions if you'd like, or message in. But Angelo Petiti will join us on Wednesday night. So starting off with a full week of stuff coming up. So thank you guys for listening tonight. Thank you to Joe Kleon, joecleon.org, joecleon.com, kittencrazy.org. Thank you, Mike. I think this is going to be a fun time. So
I agree. And thanks to you and Chris for jumping on board without me even having to ask.
Dude, it's hands down, man. We got to get behind the people of East Palestine, and it's going to be good for everybody. So hope to raise a lot of money and have fun in the process.
Yep.
All right, Mike, thank you very much for tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you, Tony Musachio, also live from Alley Cat. I think we do have a winner. I will email that person and let her know. Thank you to everybody listening tonight. Much appreciated. God willing, we'll talk to you on Monday. Have yourself a great rest of the week and a good weekend.
Amen.
Right?
Yep.
Can't believe the weekend is almost here. We're halfway through, my friends. So
I'm looking forward to Monday. I'm already looking forward to Monday. Have a good week.
Have a good one. We'll talk later. See you.